Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumed Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I'm speaking about the Sigma Male Code, okay? So, just as a backstory, I have never really been one to believe in different kinds of hierarchies like beta male, alpha male, this kind of stuff, but it helps to categorize because when you're on a pathway towards self improvement, you want something to aspire to, right? You want to build your character, you want something to build. I've always been in the subculture of being the flow, not going with the flow. Of course, going with the flow is important at times, it's surrender and discipline, but understanding that there's some ideal, there's some understanding there, and some really deep insights. I started to do a little bit more research, and maybe that was the Sigma male in me because the Sigma male, man, they love wisdom, knowledge, learning. They're curious people. You know what I mean? They're highly intelligent and curious people. And as I say this video, I don't want it to seem like I'm tooting my own horn or trying to come off in a certain way. All I'm doing is breaking down the Sigma male for you guys because I think it's very powerful. Like, you know how the alpha male is on the top of the food chain in a sense and top of the hierarchy? The sigma male is almost also on the top of the hierarchy, but they're not playing the social game, right? They're not playing this game of like chasing money, chasing women, they're kind of cultivators of doing their own thing and being a trailblazer in their own lane. So technically they're alphas in their own lane, but they're more introverted in nature. And that's kind of one way to describe it. Much more mysterious, much more inwards, much more tapped into and tuning into themselves, have self awareness. Imagine a self aware alpha. That's exactly what I define a Sigma male as, actually. We don't need to give it these fancy terms, obviously, but it just helps in understanding what's going on. The Sigma male doesn't really like to hang around huge groups of people. They generally have one to two or three or four close friends. They have a small circle of people that they trust. They generally live by the motto, treat me the way that you want to be treated or else you're gone, right? Ad vitam ad culpam, for life until misbehavior. The Sigma male has high standards for himself and his own life. So, instead of chasing the woman, he will attract the woman, right? He'll see all the coworkers like flirting with this girl, and all he will do is just play the kind of mixed signals game of mysterious nature, right? He'll just maybe say hi, look at her, very intense, and then walk away from the situation, okay? And what he's doing essentially, he's building the long-term storyline, right? He's not going for the quick results. He's playing the long-term game. He's looking for somebody who will play that long-term game with him. He's not going to tolerate people just let it go, man. Right? The Sigma male loves to hold grudges in a sense, and the Sigma male is the most powerful man in the room because he is also the most quietest man in the room. He's the observer, but he knows when to turn on his charm and his intelligence and his vocabulary. Right? He knows when to use the right words in a social situation. I noticed when I was first Sigma male because I was always analyzing things around me, right? I saw every single situation like an algorithm in my mind. Then I started to look into this and a light bulb went off in my head like, okay, clearly there's something happening, something that makes me different than other people. And because of that lone wolf nature, a lot of alphas, they chase like a dog. A Sigma will hunt like a wolf. Understand the difference of that, right? A Sigma male knows that there's a science to everything, to everything. They understand that true power does come from knowledge, and so they're constantly researching and learning new things. He knows that he doesn't need to get a nice car or rely on his looks to get the girl, right? He knows he can rely on his communication, his intellect, and his charm, which happens naturally from a very, very introspective life and a different life to the norm, right? He's definitely not a normie. Like, think of the opposite of a normie. You might want to see he's a little bit of a hipster, but that's not even the case. He just never conforms to the society's way of thinking, or the woman's way of thinking for that matter. He's going to have his own opinions, and He's very cool, calm, and collective. So he's like a calmer alpha male in a sense. He's not very out there. He operates more on a stealth mentality, so he only wants to be seen when he wants to be seen. He knows that he's not going to try to be the center of attention, but he is without trying to be. He's looking for a woman in need of that mental stimulation. The Sigma male never allows himself to be manipulated or psychoanalyzed in any way because he's always one step ahead in the mental frame in the world, right? He sort of goes by the motto, I won't stoop to your level, you'll only rise up to mine, right? So he keeps a high standard and he just surfs on that high standard. I would say Sigma males are very good at visualizing, mainly because their imagination as well as their intellect are very sharp and crystallized in their mind. And so when they can envision it, they can accomplish it. You see, the Sigma will understand that if you control the mind, the body follows. So he knows that he's got to be very, very sharp in his mind in order for him to get the results that he wants. Now, of course, sometimes Sigmas do become overthinkers. That's where the problems start happening, and they get so into their internal world that it's tough to actually make it happen, in a sense. I would say maybe that's the dark Sigma, in a sense, where he's just so isolated from society and by himself that he becomes more of a hermit rather than actually doing stuff with his introversion and his gifts. Sigmas will always believe that everything has a deeper meaning than it actually does. Okay? They're very poetic and they don't have to play hard to get, they are hard to get. They generally avoid confrontational women. They investigate things until they get to the bottom of it. And he lets his talent and creative gifts speak for him. Confuse them with silence, shock them with results. That's one of their mottos too. Confuse them with silence, shock them with results. Confuse them with silence, shock them with results. Usually from the outside, you'll not know that the Sigma is actually very outgoing. But from far away, seems like he's a loner a little bit, right? In his own world, you could say, in his own dimension. The Sigma understands that no man knows everything, but every man knows something. And he doesn't like to argue to waste his time. He knows that getting into a woman's mindset is the first thing that he does when he meets someone. He tracks like, okay, is this a person that is on my wavelength, on my intelligence level, on my frequency? He's someone who's a patient wolf, right? He's someone who understands that time will show him the right answer. Sigma males and alpha males actually make really good friends. This is an interesting note. So alphas will generally want to be the center of attention, right? So he likes to hang around the Sigma because he knows that he won't magnetize all the attention towards him. However, he's still like there to be a guidance to the alpha because sometimes the alpha will do things too impulsively or go and really uses aggression in a certain way, whereas the Sigma male will be almost like the silent observer of the environment and be able to understand things and really be able to know the game plan of things, right? So he'll tell him like, okay, we can go in here, we can plan it around this, and then we can go in like that. And also the fact that, he's just really passionate about the subjects that he's into. He's the clearest of thinkers. He doesn't really compare himself to others because he knows that comparison won't even matter. He doesn't care what others think of him. Basically, he believes in forging his own path in life, okay? Takes the road less traveled, walks to the beat of his own drum. He isn't worried about the social matrix and all of this stuff, right? He's going forward and creating his own matrix, in a sense, okay? He's not worried about the social matrix. He's here creating his own matrix of something. Like, he has a passion project, probably. He's probably investigating something and planning something huge. The Sigma also has a very adventurous nature. Not just in like traveling and stuff, of course that's cool, like he would rather go on an adventure rather than vacation, but just adventurous in the sense of his mind, right? He'll skirt the edges of the taboo and the risque, and he understands that people have like a hidden agenda at times, and he will see through people's BS. The one thing that he doesn't tolerate is cheating. He doesn't tolerate cheating because he values loyalty. He understands that it's the struggle that makes the man. The Sigma gets very suspicious of people who talk way too much. A Sigma can work with somebody in the same room and not say anything to each other, and just they'll work on their laptop and they just like being there in their presence, right? They don't need to be communicating all the time, but when they do communicate, it's a deep, meaningful communication, right? It's not like a petty, like small talk type of thing, right? They kind of in this mentality, if you want to prosper with me, you have to suffer with me, right? They take people through the hell of their own reality and their own discipline, and they sharpen people. Like whoever comes into contact with a Sigma, they'll get sharper. They're the ones that are in control of their life. They're the directors of their own life. And other people are just extras in their movie, right? Other people are just there to go along for the ride because they're clearly the leaders in their own world, right? They're actually in their own world and they're creating their own world, right? A lot of people who are doing new things and inventing things and trailblazing and creating a new movement or an art form often have that Sigma quality. You'll notice in their sense of style is very unique. It's very eclectic. It's not very straightforward like fast fashion, right? It'll be very maybe homemade, creative type of quality or different patterns and things like that, right? So, of course, I'm speaking from my own experience, but I'm also taking a lot of this stuff that I've learned for this video in the Sigma Male Codex by Danelle Jones, and as well as understanding that the Sigma is such a powerful archetype that if you really start to look into these very intellectual characters, right, like the silent assassin, like the John Wick type character, right, or in their own internal world. If you guys have any ideas of Sigma male characters in movies and television, let me know. Leave it in the comments, okay? That will really help us as Sigmas to figure this out, and I'll start typing some of them as well if I get some ideas in this video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Have an amazing day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Ball.